everyone. I'm David Bodorf, AIC Executive Director, and welcome to another edition of Conversations with Policymakers. Joining us today is Joyce Fillenwarth of the Indiana Office of Rural Health. And Joyce is here to talk about the special programs at the State Department of Health that can benefit rural communities. So I'm going to start off with asking Joyce to tell us a little bit about her background.
Thank you, David. Yes, I've been in this position almost 5 years. It was my first opportunity to work in government.
Okay.
I came from a sales and marketing background in the for-profit world, working with the larger employers on helping define their employee benefit plans, looking at ways to administer those plans, and ways to really focus on employee benefits to enhance health.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
It's our privilege. Can you tell us a little bit about what the State Office of Rural Health does?
Sure. So the State Office of Rural Health, it is a position that is federally funded by the federal agency HRSA. And there's actually one of me in every single state. Our acronym are SOARS, which, doesn't sound too appealing, but that's what we are. We're known as a state SOARS. And the reason we exist is that the federal government wanted a mechanism in which to disseminate information down from the federal level to our rural communities. And likewise, to have someone be that liaison from the rural communities to communicate up to government. What are the needs? What are they struggling with? What would best benefit our rural communities and healthcare providers?
Okay, great. So how, for your office's perspective, how do you define rural?
So we follow the Federal Office of Rural Health Policy. And it's a formula that they utilize, and they don't really call it rural anymore.
Okay.
It's called metropolitan and micropolitan. And you have to keep in mind, each agency has their own definition of rural. So it's important when you're looking at funding that you follow that application's definition of what rural may be. So therefore, because we are under the Federal Office of Rural Health Policy, we follow their definition. So here in Indiana, 47 of our 92 counties are considered micropolitan or rural. And then there's an additional 15 counties where certain parts of the county may qualify for rural funding. But it's always best if you are looking for grant funding under the Federal Office of Rural Health Policy. On their website, they actually have a link that you can put in your address and see if you qualify to be considered as rural.
Okay, that's great information. So Joyce, why and when would our members contact you?
I always share with people that if you don't know who to call, you can always call me. I'm the boots on the ground. I can do your legwork. I can explore all avenues to get you the answers that you're looking for or the appropriate people you need to speak with. In my position, it's kind of twofold. One is I work with our small rural hospitals with a handful of grants that HRSA has designated, that the State Office of Rural Health administer, that support our small rural hospitals, mainly in the areas of quality improvement, providing training programs for them, etc. The other side, what I do is really going to be the boots on the ground in the community, working with all different types of service providers, from those that deal with all social drivers of health, food, behavior health, housing, transportation, and trying to understand what they're struggling with. And then meanwhile, I'm also out networking with different agencies and organizations that can be the funding avenue to address those issues or to help solve those problems. So on one side, I'm trying to work and find people that I can use as my connectors, and others being down and the other side of the coin, being in the communities to know what my rural communities are needing and who I can connect them with, and working with them to help implement programs that will further support their rural communities.
You mentioned grant programs. Are those often a local match required? And how often do those grants maybe come available?
Sure. So you have to keep in mind, it is the State Office of Rural Health. So most of what crosses my desk deals with health. It's going to be more hospital, clinic or health provider oriented. However, as the federal government has seen how COVID has impacted the social drivers of health and those disparities, as I mentioned, food, transportation, everything that impacts access to care and being healthy, that topic has risen up to the top. So we're starting to see more funding addressing those issues as well. But it's anything that I receive, I always pass out to my listserv I keep. So if any listeners would like to say, hey, I just like to know what you're seeing and please include me in your listserv, I'm happy to do that. And you can just, I believe my link is going to be included here for my contact information. And you can just send me an email and I'm happy to add you to my listserv.
Great. And we'll have additional information in our magazine, and that Joyce wrote an article, and again, we'll have her contact information and a little bit more explanation about what the office does. But Joyce, any closing comments?
No, just thank you for having me. Thank you for putting me in front of this audience. I'm always very excited to be among, again, the actual members of the community. It's so important that we keep our rural communities alive and well through their economic planning, because that's just so crucial to our state.
Well, thanks. Thank you. Thanks for being here. And again, thanks to Apex Benefits for being our sponsor today. And as always, feel free to contact the Association of Indiana Counties if we can ever be of assistance.